up, you guys? Welcome back to my third episode of Even Eden. I am joined tonight by one of my best friends, Beatrice, and I am so honored to have her here on the show with me. A little bit about Bea and I. We grew up together in Hawaii. She was actually friends with my older brother, and she was just one of my role models growing up. I thought that she was the coolest girl, and when we became friends, it was like we have just, we're so so soulmates in life, and we've been through a lot together, the dark times and now on to our spiritual journeys, and it's just been a wild ride. Bea has always been such a staple, grounding pillar in the feminine side of my life. It's on this spiritual journey. I have had to lose a lot of friends, and it's the path has really weeded out who was for me and who was not. And to this day, I am so grateful to have Bea still in my life. And, we've kind of woven in and out of each other's stories so beautifully. And to witness her journey and her path has been such an honor. Bea lives in Mexico City with her family, her husband and her newborn baby daughter. And it's just been so beautiful to witness her on her divine union journey. She also does deep spiritual work out there. And I'm just so grateful to have Bea on the show tonight. So, Bea, tell him what's up.
I'm so honored to be here and be a guest on your podcast. I've been listening to the last couple episodes, and I just think your voice needs to be heard, and you have such clarity, and I'm excited. Yeah, I'm Beatrice. I grew up in Hawaii and live in Mexico now. I'm not in Mexico City anymore. We're in Baja. We're in Todos Santos. And I kind of found my way into the my own healing journey, and that progressed into shedding a lot of past versions of myself, and most recently just letting go of this corporate hustle and stepping into motherhood and being a wife and sharing more of what we've been doing in our personal work with the community here and around Central America. So yeah, uh, we can get
Amazing.
into it more.
Yeah. So I still remember the conversations that we had like back when I had my like original spiritual awakening, when I was like really going through it. And I just remember you were like you were so interested in it. And then like shortly after, you had your spiritual awakening and you hit the ground running. You literally, met your now husband, and you went all over South America and just created this beautiful life for yourself. Like you had your cat like in your backpack traveling to every foreign country, and I just thought that that was the coolest thing, because like, I remember like when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I was like, going through some spiritual psychosis, honestly. And it was like just because it was so overwhelming. And then seeing you on your journey, it has just been so cool to watch. So tell me about the work that you and your husband do them with the Temezcal. Like, what is a Temezcal? What is You guys also do Vision Quest journeys. So
Mhm.
tell me about that work that you guys have been doing.
Yeah, so it started a few years ago. We met the guides who we do a lot of work with, and it started with Temazcal, which is essentially a sweat lodge, but it's a ceremonial sweat lodge, and we do the Mexica tradition. So there's four doors, which are four different rounds you do, and they get progressively hotter. You bring in stones from the fire into a dome. And there's a lot of prayer and song tension that goes into it. There's different herbs and plants that are used, and the vapor that's created from the heat is very cleansing and detoxifying. So a it's a strong work, but it's detoxifying in many ways. Like, yes, physically you're going through that kind of purge and sweat, but it's also such an emotional um, and mental work too, because there's a lot of intention behind it. There's a lot of prayer. The songs are really beautiful or strong, it depends. And you also are going through, like sitting through intense heat. So we got really into that and ceremonies too, with the plants and the animal medicine. And we kind of went on our own deep dive for a few years. And when that happened, we decided to move to Mexico. We were like, this is what we gotta sink ourselves deeper into this. And so we wanted to be closer to our guides and work with them a lot. And we started hosting little mini retreats and ceremonies around Central America and in Mexico and sharing more of that. And then we found where we are now in Todos Santos, and we got the okay from our Temezcalero to start our own and to open it. So we brought him over, we had an opening ceremony, and we host them every week for the community. We take breaks when it gets really hot here, but it's mostly every week. And yeah, we continue to have our ceremonies and facilitate those and put those together too.
That's so awesome. I've only been watching it like on Instagram and social media, but I didn't realize like the depth of, the work that you and your husband are actually doing together. So that I kind of want to segue that into like your divine union actually. So how did you know your partner was your divine counterpart? And you guys have this beautiful shared mission together now, and it's like it really transcends in the love that you share and the work that you do together. So, what was the signs that he was your counterpart? Because I know a lot of my collective that are on the divine feminine, healing journey that are trying to magnetize their soul's counterpart. Um, they kind of get lost in the illusion of ego desires and wants and needs compared to divine union companionship.
Yeah, it's such a good question. And I'm going to be totally honest. I get asked this question a lot because so many of my woman friends see what we have and are like, how? Like, how do you get to this point with someone? Like, how do you know that this person's the right person? And how do you like live in such alignment like that? And I always say it's such a hard question for me to answer because it's not that I can't take all the credit for like attracting this kind of relationship. It's so much of it has to do with my husband, Eric, and the work that he does on himself and the way he shows up in the relationship. Because we were together like 6 or 7 years before we got married. We just got married a couple years ago and then had a baby like less than a year after that. And it wasn't always like that. I mean, we were doing long distance for a couple years. Then I quit my corporate job in New York to go on his surf trip basically and just travel around and figure out if we could deepen our relationship. But with that came so much work, and we it was my dream always. I remember telling him one day, like, whoever I end up with, I want to be in a relationship where we go to couples therapy on a regular basis, like not just when things are bad. Like I had these ideas of what I thought would make a really healthy relationship. And the more I shared with him, like my true self, the less I felt him back away, which I think is a lot of women's fears. Like, oh, if I open up that about myself and he like sees that side of me, he's going to take a step back or he's going to
Hmm.
think I'm crazy. And it was all those times I had those thoughts that this is what's going to pull him back. He would go in deeper and he'd be more invested. And I remember he found us a couples therapist and we started doing that. And it wasn't that I don't think either of us knew from the get-go. It wasn't like love at first sight. We definitely chose each other right away as soon as we met each other. But it took a lot of evolutions of ourselves, and he has such a strong practice on his own. He's a really solid divine masculine. He really is. I don't want to put him on a pedestal, but he just is. And he has a solid practice of his own meditation and his own work and his own um, understanding of himself. And he's not a defensive person. And so when you when you pick your partner, I feel like those are things that you really need to look for. Like me deciding to marry someone and have a baby with someone, I know that seems so obvious that you would choose wisely, but it was such an intentional decision. Like I really feel like I knew what I was doing when I chose him. I was choosing someone who I really could rely on through thick and thin, who I could have hard conversations with, who I could be not my best version of myself and he would still unconditionally love me and choose me. And those are things that not just in marriage, but especially when you have a baby involved and as the woman, your capacity is hit to the max. Like I never knew what 24/7 was until having a baby. Like you're on. You're not sleeping. You in the beginning can't eat, can't do anything unless someone's like helping you. And I knew when I chose him that that was going to be someone I could really count on, you know? Um, to answer your question, I feel it took work. I mean, we had, and we still do, we have to choose each other every day. We have to have hard conversations. We have to be open and raw and vulnerable with each other. We have to put our egos aside and listen and like decide that we want, like, we're on the same team. We have to wake up every day and be like, we want the same thing. We're on the same team. Like, how do we make that happen? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I literally have chills. Like just because like I've known you for so long and I've witnessed your evolution in self and now I've been able to witness your evolution in your partnership. From afar. I've actually never met your husband in real life yet, but it's like I know like if like from who you are as a person, because I know that you deserve the absolute best. I've seen you, get heartbroken over people that were just, totally not on your level at all. And it was just like, when you see your like your best friends like choosing people that you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like it's like you're a goddess. And it's like to see you being loved correctly, it is just so beautiful. And I'm so happy for you because it's like, on the spiritual awakening path of this mass awakening that's happening, there are couples in divine union right now that I believe are, it's a soul contract on this level of they are here to show the collective what it actually looks like. Because there's the rest of the world, like some people are still just unplugging from, the lies of like society. And a lot of the men are very, very disconnected from their soul's truth. A lot of the men are still having a really hard time with evolution in regards to conscious partnerships. And that's not their fault. It's basically just the program that's been running. And so I wanted to ask you, what is a challenge that you guys transmuted together that made your bond stronger? Is there one that you can think of?
Yeah. Um, I want to tread lightly around this subject, but we both say that our bond is what it is because of sitting in ceremony with plant medicine together and doing that as a ritual, um,
Mm-hmm.
and choosing that as a lifestyle. And it's not that I think that it's the way and that's the only way and everyone needs to do this. But there's so much in that. Like I can say in my personal experience, if I were to just put a blanket statement over sitting with the plants, I could say plant medicine changed my life. I overcame
Mm-hmm.
addiction. I found my soul's purpose. I found the love of my life, of all of my lives. I believe he's my all of my lifetimes person. Um, and but that's such a blanket statement because sitting in ceremony with the plants, if you don't have faith can only get you so far. And I feel like I have a very strong faith. I know you have a very strong faith as well. And
Mm-hmm.
your faith can falter because it's hard. when you feel something is taken away from you and you can't see it, so it's hard to believe it. But if you don't have the discipline on top of that to keep going, I think the plants oftentimes can show us a lot of things. And what can make it scary or confusing is that, same as you're saying, how the divine masculine doesn't have this healthy relationship with self and purpose and how to show up in
Mhm.
that way. I think we've gotten so far away from this in society, just like our true nature, that in these, and it doesn't have to be plant medicine, in any awakening, in any deconstruction or shedding of self, where the layers can come off and you can see to the core of who you are and what you desire and what feels out of alignment. Anytime that's brought to us, our shadows are brought to us, we know on a deep level what is not working, but it can be really scary to remove those things because it's what we've
Mhm.
worked our entire lives for. Like, for example, me quitting the corporate world, it's like that took so much guts, and everyone around me, except my husband, telling me it was a bad idea. I was making a bad decision. Like, what was I going to do? Um, and you have to have, like, beyond the faith, I had to have discipline to be like, even if I take this leap of faith and it doesn't work out immediately in my favor, I'm going to keep working and showing up as the best version of myself. And so even sitting with the plants, like when I did my first ceremony ever and was like, I'm never taking a full disclosure. I was like, I'm never taking drugs again. And I was still dabbling at that time, even though more, it was more to like something to help me like focus at work and something to help me to sleep. It was less recreational and party, but I was like, I'm done. I'm so done with all of it. And it was a 180 thing that happened. Um, and then I had to have the discipline to say, like, okay, even though there's going to be hard days and hard nights, and even though my relationship's going to go up and down, and even though I'm going to have doubts about this, I need to keep showing up. And the challenges that, sorry, I'm gonna land the plane and come full circle. Like,
No, dude, I'm like in the freaking story with
okay,
you. I'm so ensconced in it because
you're
it's
in
like
the cockpit with me, okay?
I can relate so much, so much.
I know you can. I know you can. That's why I feel like
Mhm.
it's so easy to have this conversation with you. I couldn't have
Yes,
this with a lot of people.
100%.
Um, and so a lot of the challenges, I don't want to say there's one specific challenge, but I can say what kept us bonded was continuing to show up and sit. Because when you sit with the medicine, or if you wanted to do any practice that again like shows you your shadows, you are face to face with your biggest fears, your biggest insecurities, your all of that, all of your shadows. And when you do that together and you mirror each other and you have to open up those can of worms to someone else, and you choose still day in and day out to be there for that person, to heal that part of yourself so you can show up as a better partner, to hold that person when they need holding, and to allow yourself to be held when you need to be held, which can also be hard for people. I'm speaking personally because I like don't like to ask for help, but yeah, I would say that really continues to bond us. We always joked that we were married before we got married, under under just the ceremonies we were doing and stuff, because our souls were bonded for life. Like there was no getting out of it after that. So we might as well get married in the default world.
Totally. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. And it's like I love that you said that. Like, 'cause like I think that that's like an answer that a lot of people wouldn't expect, right? And it's like for me, like I'm a huge advocate of plant medicine. That's like one of my main things is, I got sober on a mushroom trip and I will
I
scream that
remember.
Yeah, dude, I will scream that from the mountaintops because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, like it's like it was God, that helped me do it, of course, but it was like
Mhm.
it was in plant medicine ceremony. I mean, at the time, it wasn't really a ceremony for me, but it turned into one. But it's like, but every time that I have had like a really huge thing to overcome in life, it was like, earlier this year, like literally in like January, February of this year, I was probably the most depressed I've ever been. Once again, mushrooms saved my life. And because I was like literally on the verge of like taking my own life. And so, and then I'm also a bufo facilitator. And that is like, I can't, like, even though I've been sober for like 4.5 years, I can't like describe the importance of plant medicine because that's not drugs if you take it intentionally. And the way that you just talked about it in your conscious partnership, that just blew my mind. I really like that just I need to like, integrate that one for a little bit because, I obviously like I'm still single on my divine feminine journey and I'm at peace with that. I'm okay. I'm actually not searching. But it's because I have the deep knowing and the faith that like I am coded for divine union. And I think that's what a lot of women need to understand is when you know that you're coded for divine union, all you can do is continue, like what you just said, continue to show up and be the best version of yourself every day. And that's actually one of the new programs I'm creating on my website. I'm creating a Become Your Higher Self kind of program where it's like about deep integration and how to basically quantum leap your timelines because it's like if you are not showing up as the best version of yourself, you need to ask yourself why you're not because you know exactly what you need to do and you're not doing it. So these are patterns and blockages that are, basically it's your inner critic that it's your shadow that is trying to keep your nervous system, safe, but it's like that's not who you are. That's not who your highest self is because your highest self acts, talks, looks, dresses, speaks a certain way. And and I'm not saying that I'm perfect and I've gotten there like yet. I'm constantly evolving, but I'm genuinely making sure that I show up as my best and highest self every day to the best of my capacity. And then that creates that trajectory. And so I love that you said
I
that.
think, sorry to
No,
interrupt you. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
good.
I think what you're saying is really potent. And the course that you're going to do on how to become your higher self, it's exactly what I'm trying to say. You're so on point. It's really important to understand that there's so much wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom in these plants. And you and I both know you can do them recreationally and then you can do them
Mhm.
ceremonially, and
Yes.
they are like not the same.
No.
It is not the same.
No.
It's so wild. I remember going into my first one and thinking just like, oh, I've done this before, and then mind blown. But the what gets opened up after that, um, and seeing those shadows, like knowing that when you realize after something like that happens, when you have this awakening and something like this happens where you're just busted open and you do realize where you're holding yourself back, it is so difficult to remove all the programming and all the societal pressures that have already been like deep planted in us. People work their entire lives from the moment they are children, going to school, then going to high school, then choosing a career, like something to study in university, and then graduating university and going to a job. To think after years and years of that, for me, I was in my 30s thinking, holy moly, I'm unhappy in my job. And what else would I do? What else can I do? I spent my whole life doing that. Having those realizations and then having to think from the version of your higher self, which I do think the plants give you that insight as well. As much as you might see that you don't want to see, it's also like shining that light in your third eye of like, the potential is limitless. Like you can do literally anything. Like, are you listening?
Hmm.
Um, and so just thinking from that place, which takes so much work and has taken me a lot of discipline again to have positive self-talk, to catch myself when I'm pulling myself away from what I really desire to be, to having my rituals in the morning. I know you have an extensive, like really early morning routine, and
Hmm.
it's so important to have that and to get
Yes.
on that frequency with yourself so that the rest of your day you're vibrating from that level. Because when you vibrate from a low frequency, you're just altering altering your timeline in a way that's like not favoring your higher self.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I'm so happy. You're like the perfect guest to have on this podcast right now, dude, because it's like I feel like you've just been such a source of inspiration for me, like throughout my whole life. Like literally, like even when we were like doing like our crazy party girl, like, with me and Bia had some insane stories. I'm not even
beyond,
sure if we should even talk about it on here.
beyond. I
Beyond. Like literally, like there's some memories that I'm just like, wow, that was dark.
but
But still the
to
best
think
time
that we've
ever.
come full circle. No, best time ever. Like I must say, no matter how gnarly
Totally.
it got, I had so much fun. And just
It
to
did get
see,
pretty gnarly.
it was really bad. Like not proud at all,
No,
but like had a
no.
good time. But
Like same.
I do feel like you are such a soul sister to me. And I feel the same way about you. Like
Oh,
the queen. You're like the queen.
you're the
But
queen.
but you have always just brought out like you would always bring out the best in everyone. Like even this, you're so good at this. You're such a natural at podcasting because you
Oh,
can
thank
just
you so much.
make people feel so open and you're so relatable and you're so loving. And yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna cry. You're the best. But yeah, no, dude, like just like, the our story arc, and it's so funny because like looking back on my life now, it's like the true because like I said, like I lost a lot of friends, like because and not like there's no love lost. Like I still love everybody that I was genuinely like friends with. But the thing is there's certain people that they just don't understand my evolution. And like there's literally like I like, can count my inner circle on one hand, and that's totally fine with me, like legit. Because but I look back and I see that it was always going to be you. It was always going to be Sierra. It was always going to be, like I have like a solid crew, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And the thing is, it's like I feel like I remember when I came to you, and I told you that like my name is Serafina Salas, like like moving forward, and you were like, I love it. And then it's like I already know like the rest of like my friendship circles were probably like, what the fuck? Did she lose her fucking mind? And it's just like you just understand the evolution of like the path that I'm on, and I've seen your path, and it's just like I feel like it's been like a mirror for like what is coming for me, because it's like I feel like I've always been like a few years behind you like on that type of journey. But it's like it's such a beautiful reminder. And um getting back into what you were saying about like the higher self thing, because the like that's probably like the biggest theme in my life right now is my morning routine saved my life. Like it, like no joke. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. And it's like when you understand the importance of waking up at the same time every day, maybe like one day a week you can like choose like elect to sleep in or whatever. But it's like to have that consistency to keep showing up. I wake up and I immediately start with breath work. It's like I'll do Wim Hof breathing or Kundalini yoga. So it's like the breath of fire. Like I will get connected to source the first thing upon waking up, not checking my phone. And then also I will do 3 pages of automatic writing. And I prescribe that to my clients, and they're like, 3 pages? That's so much. And I'm like, I know, like, I'm like, so I tell them start with one page, but it's like when you journal and it's your stream of consciousness right when you wake up in the morning. That is your time with God. That is your time with the creator in you. And it's like you're waking up that creator in you, because it's so important. It's like if you have any questions, any direction that you need in your life, it literally will connect you to to the source of all. It will tell you exactly what to do that day. It'll tell you exactly where to go, what you need to change. It's like I promise that is like the 3 pages of journaling every morning. That is my ritual. And then I will follow it with affirmations and EFT tapping and meditation. And it's like it's pretty extensive for a morning routine, but it's like now that I'm doing it, the level that my reality has quantum shifted is unbelievable. Like I went from wanting to take my own life, in from like January to like April of this year, to now I'm like literally living in my dream life in Bali, like like helping people like on their spiritual journeys that have gone through like the evil, fucked up shit that I had to go through. Woo, my throat chakra's acting up. But that's like what becoming your higher self is like. It's like you don't have to do anything except change everything.
Yeah. No, my heart hurts so much hearing that. But I remember when I spoke to you in the beginning of the year and you were so
Mhm.
down and I was just like, "Oh my God, how could I not know that this is where you were?" And I've been there too, but you know, it made me realize how important it is to stay connected to your friends as often as possible. I mean, I'm terrible at it. I I'm really bad at it. But you never know what someone's going through and you never know what like you feel so much less alone when you can share those kind of things with people
Mhm.
because you realize you're not alone and it can feel so isolating. And something that I'm gonna say her name wrong, but your first guest, the first episode,
Sherazad. Sherazad.
Sherazad said was such an incredible light bulb moment for me. But she's like talking about people who are having tendencies to like end it. And she said a lot of people don't realize that that's really an ego death happening of that version of themselves. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, light bulb. That's makes
Mhm.
to me, that makes so much
Mhm.
sense. Like, finally, your higher self is like, I cannot live like this anymore. Like, we cannot do this
Totally.
anymore. This version of me needs to go, or this version of us needs to go, But
Mhm.
we don't see that because we're not looking from the higher like bird's eye level perspective where we can see
Right.
that there's another version of ourselves that doesn't need to be here in this way, doesn't need to think like this, feel like this, be in this environment, be surrounded by all that thickness, that covering. Um and yeah, I that to me was really, really powerful. And I'm so glad I heard that, because if more people could see it from that point of view, like you're saying, you could be like a little seed about to blossom and you're just like in the soil and everything's so dark and you can't get out and you think this is it, like you think you're never going to see the light, and you're that close, you're a couple months away maybe, like as you were, from breaking
Mhm.
through and just like blossoming into the most beautiful version of yourself.
Oh, totally. And I'm glad you brought that up, because Sherazad, like she has wisdom beyond, dude. Like when you come back to Hawaii, you need to book a session with her, because she is freaking mind blowing, like such a powerful healer. But that's I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like I said in my second episode with my other friend Dan that April has been kind of a month for my rebirths. And it's like with the actual like calendar, like the real calendar, April is the new year. But it's like when I spoke to you in, I think it was like January this year, you brought such, healing words, like because I was so bummed about moving back to Hawaii. Like I felt like I was, this is before I remembered who I was, and before I remembered that I was literally like the creator, like the creatrix, that like I control time and my own path. Because I didn't remember that aspect of like, I thought that I was just like a victim to my circumstances. And because like that was literally like it was so scary. Like I've never felt that down in my life. but it was like the rebirth that happened after that in April was insane. Like it was like all of a sudden I reclaimed my voice and I remembered who I was and I was like, "Oh yeah, let's fucking go." And it's like in a matter of like 2 months, I just completely was like, well, I was still bartending and working at the bar and I was just like, getting spiritually attacked by like the people that I was working with and I was like, no, fuck this. I'm done here. This life doesn't serve me. And so sometimes like the creator and the universe, it will place you in a position of being so done with a life like what happened to you with your corporate job. It's like
Mhm.
it's like you physically can't be there anymore. It's like it will literally just kill your soul. And so it's like, because it's like, for me, it was like the comfortability. It's like, oh, the money is so good and easy, and I'm good at it. And it's like I'm comfortable here. This is like my bread and butter. I like, not to toot my own horn, but I fucking kill it at bartending. Like I'm a great fucking bartender, dude. And it's like, and it's fun, and I love it. And but it's like God was like, hey, but like this is like the antithesis of your life purpose. It's like you're here, you know giving people poison like that you are trying to tell people to not do anymore, even though I'm not like, people want to drink, they can fucking drink, like whatever. But it's like what happened with me and alcohol was like that was like I almost died because of it. I was dying of kidney and liver failure when I was 27, and that was like a whole other aspect of my journey that I almost forget about because so much has happened since I've gotten sober that it's like it's just like the craziest story arc. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like life is a beautiful thing when you just kind of surrender and understand that like the darkest times are the catalyst for the peak that you're about to ascend to.
Yeah. I remember this quote just popped in my mind, but when I used to work at a bar in New York, there was one of my coworkers, and he told me life really teaches you how to live it if you live long enough. And I was like, damn, that's so true. And sometimes I would have to tell myself that in the darkest moments. I would remember that quote because it'd be like, just live long enough, just keep like stay here, stick this out, because life's gonna teach you how to keep it moving. Like, just don't give up. And it's so true. Like you again, it's the faith and the discipline. Like you need to trust that there's something better on the horizon, and then you need to like bust your ass to get there.
No, fully. And I think that's like, so I'm glad that you like said that because discipline is such an underrated topic in the spiritual community, I feel like, because it's like there's a lot of false light teachings about, you know, I mean, it's just the false light grid has just blown my mind with this because a lot of people, hustle culture teaches discipline in a very toxic way. Spiritual discipline is a completely different story. And a lot of my clients, they have struggled with spiritual discipline. And it's like, there's no judgment because I have too in the past. But it's like, once you figure it out, it's like, life is not going to change for you. You need to change for life. And so that's like how it's because it's like, it's the version of you that magnetizes the blessings that is in your contracts. It's like, you can't, it's like that sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's like, sometimes it takes to get to your lowest point to actually change what you're doing. And that's
Mm-hmm.
happened to me multiple times. But now that I'm like in a phase of, becoming my highest self, discipline is like I'm like looking at like past versions of me and I'm like, bro, what were you doing? It's like the discipline, it's like it brings me so much fulfillment. It's
Mm-hmm.
like because it's like there was this phrase, win the day, just win the day. And so, like, with my morning routine, if I do nothing else for the rest of the day, hey, man, I already won the day. I already did, like, an extensive thing that got me in alignment because it's all about getting in alignment with the actions that will lead you to your destiny. And it doesn't, like, and a meditation that I did a few years ago, right when I was in the heat of like spiritual warfare. I had like very like meditation is so important too, by the way, guys. Every single day you have to meditate because if you want to really receive the messages for your path, meditation is how source communicates the loudest for me. And it's the meditation basically stated it doesn't matter the speed that you go through to stay in alignment with your blueprint. You just have to take one aligned action daily to get you like in the trajectory of accomplishing, to get to the GPS system for your destiny, so to speak. And um, it's like for me before, I thought it was a race against time, and that time turned out to be irrelevant. And that was like that brought me so much peace and ease to know that it's not about time, it's not about speed, it's about alignment, and that's all it is.
Hmm. Yeah. The discipline that we're talking about, like having your own morning routine and doing things to better yourself, or like to get your nervous system right, to get your frequency right. Those are things that really fill your cup up. And so, yeah, you do win the day because you already feel amazing. You already did something for yourself. When the corporate hustle is like the opposite, like how much can you get done to like put how much output can you give before the day is done? And oftentimes that doesn't include doing anything for yourself because that's like taking away from time you could be productive. Yeah, so it's just a completely opposite mindset.
No, totally. I want to ask you, oh yeah, let's talk about your journey in motherhood.
Mm.
Because you had a home birth, and so you and my other best friend Sierra, you guys both had your babies this year, and both like spiritual badass queens that I just am so like in awe of. Like the two like women on my journey who have truly truly just embodied what friendship and love meant to me. To witness you guys both do a home birth this year was so amazing. And I want to ask you, what was your like journey with home birth like? Like, what was your decision to have a home birth? Because I know that you researched it a lot. I feel like I remember you always knew that that was something you wanted to do. So tell me about that part of your journey.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, well, I wasn't one of those girls who was always like, I want to get married and I want to have babies. And it took me a long time to get there. I actually was like, I don't want kids. Even with my current, with my husband before we were married, I was like, I don't want kids. And it took a lot of shifts for me to get to the point where when I felt so safe and I knew so certainly that this person was like, I was safe with this person, with my husband. And then one day I just woke up and was like, I need a baby like tomorrow. Like, we have to have a baby. Like, it just like, I don't know what happened. And I didn't know that he had always wanted kids. He was like really nice about not putting that in my field or like pressuring me or make I was so surprised to hear that he had always wanted kids. I'm like, you never even told me that. So when I got pregnant, it was such a no-brainer. I was like, oh, we're doing a home birth. Like that's not even a question. But it wasn't something I had thought about before. So it was really weird that not weird, but it was really strong. It was just there was no question we were doing a home birth. And even my husband, who was pretty on board with this kind of stuff, was like, I don't know if that's such a great idea. I'm like, but that's what we're doing. So we better get comfortable with it. And so we both did tons of research and found our midwife and our doula who came highly recommended. This community we live in is incredible. And there's home births are very common here. And I had to lie to my family about it because they would have showed up here. Everyone was so against it. And it was such an easy answer to me. Like, I could not imagine being anywhere else. I didn't want to, we're an hour and a half from the hospital. So even if something went wrong and we had to get to the hospital, we're like an hour and a half away. I didn't want to rent an Airbnb close to the hospital. I was like, I want our home. I want our animals there. I want my husband there. I want him playing the instruments. I want it to be a ceremony. That's the only way I'm gonna feel safe having a birth. And
Mhm.
being able to look back on it now, because Lilia Metzley was born on February 1st, So she's almost 10 months. I can look back on it now and I'm so grateful and I'm so lucky. It was the most incredible experience, but it was so hard and nothing could have prepared me for that. I mean, so many things did. So many things prepared me for a situation like that, just being like so uncomfortable for hours on end and needing to needing to harness my powers. And I heard Shahrazad. Oh my God,
Yeah,
sorry.
Sherazade. Yeah,
I
I know.
heard her.
Like she.
I heard her story and was like, oh my God, like that's nothing compared to what I went through. But it is just, it's not hard for everyone, I guess. Some people have like orgasmic births, but it was 16 hours in labor and it was, I feel like there's this weird fight club code with women who have babies because every woman I spoke to before I gave birth who had home births was like, it's going to be so beautiful and you're going to have your own experience and you're so made for this and ready for this. And then I did it and I was like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. I don't want to like scare anyone, but I was traumatized and I was hitting up those people and I was like, what is wrong with you? And why did you tell me that that's gonna be? They're like, you can't say anything else. And I'm like, oh my God, you really can't say anything else.
Oh my God.
You
I
can't
love that you
tell them
said
anything.
Fight Club code. That's so funny.
So you just like don't you yeah, you can't talk about it really. And I even hit up, my best friends who gave birth and I'm like, and who work in the hospitals. They didn't do home births, but they work in the hospitals. And I was just like, is it like that for everyone? And they're like, yeah, why do you think people have epidurals and like come into the like, yeah, I was like begging at one point for, I'm like, I don't care what you have to do. Like C-section, fine, epidural, fine. Like you want to use forceps, like I don't care anymore. But I'm so glad I was home and I couldn't go anywhere. And I got to experience that at home because it really was just phenomenal. Like it was such a portal and it created such an endurance, which I think is necessary to step into motherhood. Like the endurance is unreal. It's my friend described it as it's like running a marathon at a sprint's pace. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. It's just never ending. But that all sounds like so intense and negative. It's the opposite of that. It's like the most incredible, beautiful. I've never been happier and I've never been more tired and I've never been more like happy. I don't know what to say. It's you're in this dream state because maybe the lack of sleep, but also the endorphins and just this love that's overflowing like 24/7 and your need to nurture and mother. It feels like post ceremony to me, like when you're like when the sunrise comes and you're still on the medicine and everything's very dreamy and like ethereal feeling. It feels like that all the time for me now. And yeah, it's beautiful. I wouldn't have done it any other way, but I have no judgment against women who do hospital births or want all the things. I get it. Like I truly get it.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you said that just because it's like, you know, like what you just described, it's like you elected to have such a primal experience. And I think that that's like for like as a spiritual woman, that is like deeply attractive to me as well. And it's like you did it, like my best friend Sierra did it. And then Sherzad was going to do it, and then what happened with her traumatic birth story. But it's like I feel like as a spiritual woman, like that is like kind of like our primal nature to desire that. And it's like even hearing like the like 'cause Sierra like said a similar thing of just like no one could have prepared her for like what happened. And she showed me videos of her home birth, and she was like just like the noises that were coming out of her mouth. It was just like crazy. But it's like it's still for me. I'm like that is so deeply attractive to me in some way, but maybe it's just because it's like it's just pure creation.
Mhm.
Because women are portals. Women are the closest thing to the divine because we are quite literally we can create life. And I think that that's like first of all like what even is life? Like
No,
what even
you
is
saying this
it?
right now, I'm like glitching. I'm like, what? But no, what, how do we do, what do you mean we can create life and we're a portal? It's
Yeah.
unreal. It's so unreal. And after it happened, I was really messed up over that for like months. I'm like, does anyone not understand what I just did? And like, I know
Yeah,
all the women are doing it, but like, are you guys paying attention to what we're doing? Like,
right.
uh, we just
Like
like can't.
I feel like people sleep on what birth and life is all the time. It's like, what
Exactly.
is this?
Oh my
Seriously
gosh.
though. Because it's like how
Yeah.
tricky, bro. Like that's insane. It's like
It,
it's so
it,
normalized. I mean, because it's life, right? But it's like if someone just took a second to ponder, like, raw, like that's nuts.
I was talking, I was talking to one of my guides and sisters the other day and just sharing because she's a new mom too, and she had twins, which I'm just like, God bless your soul. I don't know how people do more than one. I don't understand, but I was sharing with her just the struggles, some of the struggles of motherhood, and she was sharing with me like that is our work as women, that it's so easy to get in this headspace of comparison of like, but the man will never be as tired as the woman because we're not sleeping and we're breastfeeding and we're like on 24/7, and the man has this autonomy still, and it's so different. um and she's like, but that's our work as women, to realize that that is just the power that we stand in. And similar to Mother Earth, like Madre Tierra, she holds everything. Like
Mhm.
she holds life itself. And that is her power. And us as women, we are the portal to life. And that is just our, it's our God-given destiny. It's our birthright. It's our work, is to step away from, yes, of course, like you need to ask for help and we're not meant to do this alone. But I mean, just stepping into this power of woman. Like, I am woman, I am creator. And that is intense. Like,
I
I
have
do have to
full
hold.
body chills.
Me too, actually.
Yes. No,
Like,
this is it's so powerful. Such a powerful conversation because it's like this is the time, you know? It's like this is the birth of our ancient future. And it's like I feel like connecting in this way with like such strong, feminine figures in my life. This is what the whole purpose of this podcast is for, is to highlight, the importance of divine union, of, even like my last episode with my friend Dan, like of, being a divine masculine. And it's like just like, but like, especially like my females, like you and Sherazad, like I could not have picked better guests, dude, because it's like you guys just truly represent like the power that is the feminine. And it's
you.
like we've had to be like we've been suppressed and shamed for so long. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about like how insane like what the feminist movement was for a little bit, being like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, like I want to do everything the man does and I want to work and blah blah blah. And it's like, but like, do you not understand what you're already doing? you
Mhm.
know and so it's like the fall of patriarchal oppression is like
Yeah.
it's really like everyone's finally their eyes are being opened to like, wait a minute, like this was not natural order, this was not God's will, this was not like the divine design. And so
Mhm.
it's the rise of the feminine, of like us remembering like ourselves as the spiritual leaders of creation itself. And
Mhm.
it's like it's the evolution is crazy.
Mhm. I remember going through that myself. Even when I quit my job, it was when we decided we were gonna try for a baby, and I was like, I it was so clear to me. I'm like, I do not see myself pregnant sitting on my Zoom for 15 hours a day making slide decks or like joining meetings or like talking about AI. That's not my pregnancy journey. And I had to make that decision to quit and lose a lot of money, obviously. And just, I suffered so much with my identity at that time because I, even in my pregnancy, like, okay, but what am I going to do? Like, who am I? Like, what do I give to the world? And I need to, I was scheming up all these entrepreneurial things that had been on the back burner for me for so long, but I didn't have the time to do it because of work. And I was like, okay, I need to like, scheming's the wrong word, but I was like really brainstorming of like how I'm going to put these things into life, how I'm going to put my visions out there into the world now and like make this happen now. And even after birth, I remember a few months and I'm like, okay, it's time. Like maybe I just need to go back to work. And my husband's like, what are you even saying? Like, do you see what you're doing? How would you work? You're a mom. You need time. Like just be a mom. You're doing so much already. Like, what is the rush to start something? Like take this time and just do like he was telling me like there's I mean, I know we can do anything and he meant this in like such a sweet way. Like you can't do more. That's crazy. Like you're doing the most right now. Like let yourself be. And I was just like, whew. And just him saying that and acknowledging to me that I was doing enough and I like, him telling me I'm an amazing mother, I'm an amazing wife, I was like, oh my, like, is that enough? Am I enough just being a wife and a mother? And that doesn't mean I have 3 projects I'm starting to launch. I have my own things going on, but there's this deeper knowing that like if nothing happened, if none of those other things happen, like I am enough. And that was really life changing for me because I was so stuck in that patriarchal corporate ladder just of having to prove myself and be someone to someone else. And my husband's always like, you're everyone to like you're everything to everybody, and you need to just be there for you. You need to just like be in your own. And yeah, I vibe with that so much because I do know women can do it all. We're literally so tough. We are the toughest. We are the most incredible species, honestly.
For real, the goat.
But we're the goat. But we need to realize that we've been pushed beyond what's necessary for us and
Oh,
that we need
absolutely.
more softness. Like we need to be held.
Hmm. And I'm so happy that you have found a partner that honors that divine, like the divine in you like that, because it's so true. Like, two of my friends I actually, went to high school with, they have a podcast about like motherhood. My friends Taylor and Natasha, and I have been watching their stuff, and it is because they're both doulas and like lactation counselors, and
Wow.
so they have it's a great show. And I think that they're gonna blow up. I think they're gonna do really well with their podcast, because it's like they talk about things in motherhood that I would like. It blows my mind. Like I'm like I didn't even think about that. You know what I mean? And so it's like I think this open conversation that women are finally like, I mean, not finally, but I think it's just more available now because it's like the spiritual awakening is on and popping in the collective.
Mhm.
And it's just like for women to remember their inherent worth, beyond the societal pressure and the status quo. Because what you were describing when you were going through, like, wanting to go back to work and all this other stuff, it's like that is a program that is deeply embedded in your subconscious. And it's like now that you have, received the validation, it's like that belief, that core belief system can dissolve.
Mhm.
And that's how I've been dissolving my deeply embedded programming is with EFT tapping and
Mhm.
affirmations. That's literally how I dissolve like things that do not serve me. Because like for a while, like there was like some really crazy ones that were like running the show in my reality, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was like when you do the work and you get to the root of it and you find what belief system is creating certain events to occur in your life, then that's when you can, you shed light on it and then it dissolves. And this has been one of the most amazing conversations. I just love talking with you, Bia, so much. Like, I feel like we could just go on for hours. Like, you've always, always, always been there for me through thick and thin, literally. You're such a beautiful friend and like mom, wife. I'm just in awe of who you are. And I'm so grateful that you came to be on the show with me. And I just told you, like, I want to have you back as a regular on this. We always flow so well together. And you're just like, true soul sister vibes. And so to end this, I wanted to give the collective a little bit of how they can how they can look you up, like what's your social media, like how can they find out who you are.
Oh, well, I had such a good time. I honestly, too, I could talk to you forever. So I'm happy to come back anytime. Thank you for
Yes.
having me. And I love you so much too. And I'm so proud of you. You can find me on Instagram right now. I think my handle, I have to double check, is Bea, Bea, effect, EFFECT, and the letter X. And you can find me there. And if you're curious about anything we talked about, feel free to send me a message.
Yes. Okay. Well, B, I love you so much, and I will see you on a episode in the near future. I love you more than anything. Mwah.